This is just a little bio about myself. I've been doing real estate now for 11 years. I've had the pleasure of speaking for Miami Realtors three times, as Kevin said. I think this is the best one. I actually went viral. So you guys really want to pay attention and take notes. There's one particular slide that I really want you guys to pay attention to. This totally changed my entire business this year. And it wasn't even one of my listings. It was for somebody else that I was helping use this strategy. So I'm excited to kind of go over how we're gonna have a even better year in 2026 by applying a lot of these principles and things that I'm going to share today. All right. So this is just a little bit about today's agenda. I'm going to go into more tactics today. I'm not going to go into a lot of rental beast, but I'm going to show you how I use it. The way I use rental beast in my business, I use rental beast as a lead source. So I apply it as just a lead source. It's a great tool, and there's a lot of things that I take from it. But I'm going to show you how I took the lead source and literally transformed it into a transaction. So this is generally the issue with agents. And I read the book The Shift this year for the first time. I had it sitting in my desk for like the last 2 years, and I should have read it the last 2 years because it would have made such a difference in my business. It shows so much information that we're dealing with today that happened back in 2008, and it's literally the same issues. People were afraid to buy, right? Because of the economy back in 2008. They're afraid to buy today because of AI and they're losing jobs and things like that. So we have a lot of the similar patterns that are happening today. And the tools that allow us to thrive now are going to be even better because we have a cheat code with AI. And I actually use AI to come up with some of the strategies today. All right. And one of the biggest problems that agents have is we don't have enough diversified streams of income. I do rentals as a loss leader, meaning that it adds to my business because if sales are taking longer than normal, which they are right now, I have an opportunity to make at least some income. A lot of reasons why agents are either part-time or leaving the business is because they just don't have the income. You don't need a job, you just need more income. And part of our problem in the industry is we make money in arrears. We get paid behind. So you did something today, you don't get paid to maybe 30, 60, 90 days now with the way the listings are sitting. And you have such an overabundance of listings, especially in some communities. Now it's even harder. And today my goal is to show you how to like number one, help you on the buy side, but also help you on the listing side as well. So the solution is to create a system, diversify your income, and build your pipeline. And today's presentation will show that. So this chart is in that book. I actually created this through AI. I couldn't really get a good picture of it, so I took a picture of it in Claude AI, which is one of my favorite AIs. Claude helped me go viral. So I put in some prompts. So this picture is from the book The Shift by Gary Keller. So this basically is our business in a nutshell. And if you don't follow this chart, you're gonna basically see the same issues over and over in your business. So we're right here in July, right? So August is basically a few days away. And then you have this dip right here in September. What's that? I always noticed this in my business, but I didn't realize what it was. It was the back to school slowdown, right? And then you have October, November, obviously holidays. I call it from Halloween to the new year, it's slow, right? Generally speaking, but it picks up. And the reason why it picks up is I think one of my theories is you have 1031 exchanges which people need to spend money or move that money to another property. But more importantly, you also have listings that are going to expire. So sellers are motivated. So this will like be a great opportunity to get a great deal. And I've done that. I've had, some of my best closings at the end of the year because people were really motivated to sell. All right. But then there's also this chart. This chart is very important. This is also our income. So the spring season is a busy season, and even some of the companies in uh, the states and some of the local municipalities understand April is a huge opportunity. So you'll start to see an uptick in the listings, and that's also always known as one of the biggest times to list properties. But unfortunately, if you're not putting in built-in defenses in your business, you're gonna have challenges because you have to make hay while the sun shines, as Gary Keller says in this book. So it's very important. Like I'm trying to really get you guys to understand this concept because if not, you're going to be that 87% that's out of the business in 3 years because your cash flow is your biggest problem. At the end of the day, as real estate professionals, we're glorified appointment setters. I hate to break it to you. That's really our job is to make appointments for listings, make appointments for sellers, buyers, and renters. That's our job. But at the end of the day, if you're not generating the income, you're going to be out of business. So this chart is very important because you're going to see the fluctuations, and if you don't have a built-in defense into your business, um, you're going to be in trouble and out of the business. Now, this is very important. This is a record-breaking year. We have more sellers than buyers. It's a record. So this is an opportunity for people that are on the fence that are renters because this means 3 to 6% in seller credit is going to be happening all day because these sellers are motivated. I've seen in some communities you have 20 listings, which is crazy. So, it's like, how do you compete? And I found some gaps that I've seen listing agents making major mistakes in, and I'll show you how I was able to go viral from, just capitalizing on just the renters. So this chart shows right here the actual number, which is crazy. So that means in our market, especially in Florida, you know, especially South Florida, look at this. Miami, Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, these are where you're going to have some of the biggest challenges. And if you don't know how to market your property to the right buyers, you're going to be in trouble. The shift talks about, a major thing, right? And that major piece is the motivated. This is not a market for anybody. This is a screenshot that you guys want to take. I created this in ChatGPT basically from a prompt. This is your entire 2025, 2026, 2027 going forward. This will change your business if you apply it, right? We're focusing today on number three, but number three is correlated to number five and number one, right? I'm not looking for just anybody that wants to rent. I'm very targeted. I'm looking for this in South Florida. You have a lot of people that are multi-generational living together. You have children living with their parents. There's no space. So real estate is a math problem, right? Most people are moving because the death, right? They have too much space, too little space, a new baby, they need more space. They're too far from work. They want to be closer to a school. So we as professionals have to solve this problem. So your marketing needs to be very targeted for these type of people, right? Because these are the only people that are going to buy right now, people that are motivated. A lot of these sellers are not really motivated. They kind of want to sell because if they did, they would price their house correctly instead of letting it sit. I have a listing, for example, that's closing sometime this week. She was listed at 418. I told her, do not list your property at that price again. We have to go below the market. I listed at 399, but guess what? We got an offer. We had two offers. We had a cash offer at 415, right? That cash offer happened to be number two. It was a 1031 exchange person, an investor looking to do a 1031 exchange. So there are buyers that are out there, but it has to be very specific. She knew she was getting a deal because I was priced correctly. That property looked better than everything else that was hired, right? So, and you have a ton of these properties that are sitting also. I'll point this out. Part of the people that, the baby boomers have the most real estate. Their biggest challenge is they don't have the money to fix the roof, right? They don't have the money to do the updates, and buyers have more options than ever today. So they're super picky. So, and most importantly, developers and builders are my favorite to work with. Why? Because generally speaking, there's a correlation between people who rent luxury apartments and people who buy new construction. New construction has the best incentives. They have the best deals right now. I've been getting people below 5% interest rate for the last 2 years. But the problem is, I haven't as an agent. I have to admit, I didn't market it to the public enough. I didn't do a good enough job, and that's why you still have people who still think as renters they need 20% down, they need 10% down. When you have opportunities for them to get huge incentives and deals, because us as professionals, we're not doing our job and our part in marketing the money. One of my business partners, Rico Jackson, she told me to market the money. I didn't really understand what she meant until I went viral, and then I reverse engineered everything. So I'll show you guys that slide in a little bit. So Again, I like targeting the luxury apartments specifically, not really single family homes. There's a new genre, I call it a new niche of build for rents, which is townhomes for rent. I literally leased last week two luxury townhomes, right? The commission happened to be 2,500 a piece. I never met the clients. I never even showed the property. I leveraged it because I know there's a segment of people that like nice properties, but they make high income, but they're not ready to buy it. They're not, they're not sold on buying it. That's okay. These are not motivated buyers. They're not the type of person you're looking for. You're looking for the motivated renter that's open to buying. And if you look on this chart here to the right, you'll see where Florida leads in the households that have the highest income. I've used these slides before, but they're very important to remember because our market has, I call them the crypto bros and girls, because they understand, they live in the penthouses, the luxury apartments and things like that, and they're taking advantage of those properties. So look at this growth of the renters in the last few years. Look at these stats. These are crazy, right? You're talking from 2020, and here's the thing that's crazy. You have people that I have as clients that sold their homes. Now I have to ask you a question. If I sold my home in 2020 and 2024 and in 2025, 2024 comes around, am I considered a first-time buyer? This is a very important question, and I want to see what you guys put in the chat as your answer. So if I sold my home in the peak of the market in 2020 and 2021, and now it's 2025 heading to 2026, am I considered a first-time buyer? So here's the solution. We know most people are on the fence, right? They just need a reason to buy, right? We have to make a compelling case. The what's the math, right? We have to make home ownership achievable. So what I've done is market the money,
Yeah,
right?
it wasn't working. Anyways.
Kevin, I can hear you.
Oh, sorry about that. I'll turn it off.
No worries. All right. So basically, the mindset is this, right? I treat my runners as a loss leader. I don't lose either way. It's how I like the prospect. And my future in my real estate career is to become a mortgage lender, right? That's my future. I already figured out how to generate leads at a high level. So that's what I'm going to do now. I want to work less on the field. I'm tired of doing open houses in this heat. So for me, that's where my business is going, right? But I understand it on the transactional level as a salesperson still, because I'm running my business as an entrepreneur. I'm no longer running it like just a realtor, right? So what ends up happening is you end up being a high paid salesperson, right? Check to check. And if you don't have any built-in systems in your business, you're gonna fluctuate. Some brokerages now even offer one of the best financial systems for any entrepreneur, Profit First. And there's a specific one for realtors. This will help you with the ebbs and flows that I showed you earlier in the transaction in the presentation. So, again, I always tell agents one stream is too close to zero, and we need to really focus. And one of the key tenets and the most important thing in the book, The Shift, it talks about focusing on lead generation and lead conversion. It talks about if you outsource those things, now it's time in the market that shifted where you have to be the person that's generating them and converting them at a high level. You can no longer depend on other people, even with AI and things like that. It's just there's so few leads that are not buying that you have to be really strategic and careful with how you're generating your leads and converting your leads, right? And this is essentially a game changing system that I learned from Myron Golden, right? His game changing system is the same thing, which is a foundational thing for any salesperson. If you don't generate leads, you're not going to make money, period, in this business. Lead gen, lead conversion, that's the pillars of our business, right? And today in 2025, July, we need to make sure that we're generating the highest quality lead that's motivated to do a transaction. Now, my business model is to rent, convert them from a renter to a buyer, right? Because this is the most, we're not like an insurance, agent where we get residuals. This is the most we get in our industry. Renter, buyer, seller, referrals, investor. Your hope is that your client stays with you for the rest of their life and then they buy multiple properties. That's the most that we get outside of the referrals. So that's the key to most every business, from a doctor to a barber to whoever. Everyone has the same challenges: generating quality leads, converting them, and then scaling from there, right? And that's again where I love this profit first system. So these are just some of my things that I feel that are important things, right? You need to have a growth mindset. You need to be reading. You need to be learning as an agent and a professional because a lot of agents, they're still doing the same things that they were doing in 2020. And some of them I'm seeing them work full-time jobs now and just doing real estate part-time. The market shifted. And one of the things that book really hounds on is you really need to change what's not working. You need to trim the fat, right? And you need to generate leads. Me personally, as an agent, I did not tap into social media like I should have, right? I realized my mistake, and that's one of my biggest regrets was that I didn't build my brand enough on social media. But today, that's no longer an option. It's a must in our business because, that's the first place people are looking, and it's the truth, right? And you're talking, quality leads, and I'm closing on a transaction that I'm literally in a few days also from this ad that went viral. So I'm telling you from my personal experience, these are things that I've done myself and mistakes I've made. And, especially time management, you can't be wasting time on sellers that aren't serious about dropping their price. I don't even accept listings anymore if I'm not doing an appraisal, a pre-listing appraisal and inspection. Because at the end of the day, if we're not priced correctly, it's a waste of time. And the reason why I was able to get that 415 cash offer, why I had an appraisal on the property. So I was able to say, hey, you want to offer cash? Well, here's the appraisal. I gave the buyer confidence. My seller was happy. But it worked out either way for them because I had that system in place where if I take a listing, I'm not doing 60-day, 90-day listings. That's a waste of time. Again, we know how we get paid. It's in arrears, right? So we have to continue um upskilling and or we're gonna plateau. So, and here's my simple formula for everyone, right? Quality appointments plus executed contracts equals commissions. That's it, right? So I like luxury. I like new construction because people like new. And then we're in Florida with this expensive insurance. You can't take chances with, a lot of resales that have old roofs. If I do sell a resale, it has to have a new roof. That's where our expertise comes in as a professional. You can set up multiple searches through the MLS, right? You can find motivated sellers. There's ways to hack the MLS to actually look for people that are motivated to sell. I've been figuring this out over the last 6 months, and it's changed like my business, and different things, right? So, um, our MLS, we're very fortunate if you're part of Miami MLS. Most MLS don't even have any broker advertised. There's so many mistakes that I see in any broker advertised that I'm like, this person is not even marketing the property. The property's not on YouTube, it's not on Instagram, it's nowhere to be marketed. And there's so many opportunities that these potential, sellers are missing because agents don't know how to market. And again, I like Rental Beast. Why? Because Rental Beast has the highest quality lead that I found for a lead source. That's for me, it's a no-brainer. The cost is so cheap for the like return on the investment and the strategy that I'm using for the upsell to the renter to buyer conversion, it works because you have people there, and if they do certain things on the platform, already know what type of client they are, right? So, and these are the reasons why people don't really convert, right? The common obstacle to convert a renter to a buyer is the credit score and down payment. Well, guess what? This is the best presentation I've done because I've solved those issues. I've been trying to solve this for the last 2 years. And a couple of the secrets and hacks that I'm going to give you totally changed the game for me and the agents that I work with. It's crazy because now I know exactly what to look for, right? So this is the formula. You guys want to screenshot this. This is what started me going viral. My business partner, Ray Cole, sent me a training. So number one, you got to be involved in trainings, right? We were on this thing in the beginning of the year, right? January, February, heavy. This is a, they had a training. It was Eric Thomas and his business partner, CJ's first time ever revealing their formula, right? So what did I do? I followed the process. God first. I optimized my business, right? I increased performance and productivity. What was that? I posted more properties on my Instagram. That's all I did. I was not posting properties and I wasn't optimizing the way I was posting them, right? And I made better decisions, right? And then I used my creativity. And then I have a competitive advantage. I see what some people don't, right? I have a certain eye for marketing. I have an ear for music. I'm a musician. So there are things that I know, right? Based on data, and I read a lot. So putting all that together, that helped me, right? This is the screenshot you want to take too. This isn't literally the same week after the event ended, right? It was like a 1 month webinar, right? I took this screenshot from Sean Crocker. He's called the Cowboy of Real Estate, right? I literally did exactly what he said, right? But I chose it for one of the agents that I work with listing, right? This is the story. She literally was only averaging about 2 people at her open houses. The properties in Coral Springs. I know Coral Springs offers up to $50,000 in down payment assistance, right? So she had 2 offers that went flat and they backed out, right? Which is very common. So I said, dang, we have to do something that's gonna make this property exciting for buyers, right? So what did I do? I told her, do you have a video of the property? I was like, perfect. And the video wasn't even high quality. She sends me the video, and next thing you know, this happens. We get over 100,000 people that watch this video. I have a small following. I don't even have 3,000 followers. This is engagement is crazy. 98.7% of the people were not even my followers. And this is again, Sean's post was from the 17th. And guess what I did? I took action. I executed. I wasn't even in the video. It was a video of her. She's in the video. I'm not. If you go on my Instagram, it's pinned as a post. But it showed me that, and it's one of my. It's a great thing, but also a regret that I wasn't doing this sooner. I knew this information and I was not implementing it. But something sparked me. I saw that stuff was changing in the market, and from that video, I got several buyers, quality. One's closing this week, I think, what, Thursday or Friday. And that buyer actually had $30,000 saved. She didn't think she could afford to buy. Why? Because she went to the wrong lender. She didn't know that she could get DPA. I got her $50,000 in down payment assistance plus 3,500 from the seller, right? And again, she's one of those motivated buyers. Why? She was basically renting from her mom. She, you know, was has a family of 5, no space, math problem. I solved her math problem. Now she has space. She's happy, and she keeps her money. She only came out of pocket. It wasn't 1,500 as the ad said, but it was 1,200. That's it. With closing costs out the door. What does she get? She gets a lower mortgage payment, more equity. She gets a home. Her mortgage is like it's not even 3,200. And you're talking about, and she could have used some of the funds depending on the transaction and how it was set up to buy down her interest rate. Why wouldn't she buy? It made no sense for her to go get a luxury apartment and pay $3,000 for a 2 bedroom with no backyard, with an elevator, no playground, nowhere for her kids to run around or pets, issues with parking. But this ad showed me what's possible in applying Sean's formula. Let me go back. Let me see. Let me see if I can go back. Sorry. Let me go back to Sean. Applying Sean's formula, I was able to use that approach. And it just showed me that, you need to market. So what I've done in the last 6 months, I've just gone down the rabbit hole. I've tested, split tested, done so many different ads to see what works. I know what doesn't work and I know what does work. So, and I have the systems now that I built. And here's the thing, the worst part of this ad, I accidentally went viral. I didn't even have a net to catch the fish. So I missed out on opportunities because I wasn't prepared, right? I wasn't prepared for the storm that I saw coming. But learning this and applying the systems, I was like, it's a game changer. And going forward, I know what to do. And I've been able to, with some of my partners that I work with, create even calculators to figure some of this stuff out, right? So what I like to do is I know the product very well. And here's a secret. Some of these new constructions are offering 3%. You're not going to know though. You have to go to the property. You actually have to get in your car, drive and take action and go to the property and bring your business card because you get the emails. And I'm going to show you some of the emails that I get. So I already know you have studies showing that if, you know, a certain amount of buyers, the interest rate drops to say 6 or 5%, they're gonna buy. I'm like, I just need to convert 1%. I have the tools and strategies to do it, right? I understand the lifestyle. I understand the school districts. I know which are the hot zip codes. I know which areas work the best, right? So now I'm literally, I know how to market my listings to get more buyers, and I know how to generate on the other side renters to become my buyers. So it works all together. So these are the creative financing options, right? That are available. I added crypto to this slide because now you have crypto becoming, there's certain new constructions in Miami that work with, it's ironically called The Shift. This company called The Shift is allowing certain new constructions to buy crypto. What do you have down here? You have a bunch of people living in Brickell that are sitting on tons of crypto. Now they have opportunities, and there's a bill possibly coming that's going to allow to be used as an asset in your mortgage. That's a game changer. That's one thing, right? But people aren't thinking of these things, right? They're not marketing these things. If you go into the MLS, there's probably like almost 400 properties. It's probably like 350 that are able to market with crypto. It has cryptocurrency as a terms considered. But most agents don't know this. Owner financing, you have people, and especially now where you have this major creator world where they're 1099 employees, they're getting paid in their name. You have so many people now that can actually buy if you understand the creative financing options that they have, right? So these are some, I don't like some of these options, so I'm not going to tell you to go with Dream America, Pathway, or Divvy. These are not some of my favorites. I'm not a fan of Hometown Heroes. Where's the money? You had all these realtors talking about Hometown Heroes for months. The money's not even out. I don't even promote those programs because I know it's not a good program for the buyer. Why? It's not a grant. Hometown Heroes is actually a loan that has to be repaid. These grants are forgivable that I'm advertising if you stay in the property for a certain period, right? So, how do you find the new construction? If you actually go to the tab, when you go to your tab, right, scroll down, you'll see Neo. To me, Neo is the best out of all of them. Just put in the areas that people live, right? Go, just put in the zip. It gives you about 30 miles radius. So you click on Neo, which is this one right here. And Neo is going to give you basically every single community. They have the best database hands down out of all the new constructions, right? They're only available right now in Texas and Florida, but Christian's amazing, the owner of the company. I saw him actually at an event, a new construction event the other day. Now, secrets. One of my business partners created this new construction calculator. Why? Because we know the math is better for new construction. People need to see the math. Our job as advisors is to break down the math. We need to make it seem achievable. When you're talking big numbers, 350, 450 is too big. What is the people live in the payment? What's the payment? They're used to paying rent. Okay, I can afford 2,500. I can afford this. So they understand it broken down like that. So if you can break down the math and show it, it just makes it so much easier. This right here is a game changer because it allows you to show, hey, if you go buy this new construction, even though it seems like it's more, it's not because your interest rate is lower. And I can actually show you the math with the incentives that all these builders are giving right now, right? Look at this date, right? I just want you guys to focus on one thing. This is a closing cost worksheet. This is from 2023. I've been getting people 4.5%. This was a high to me. This is a high interest rate. So if you look at the note rate right under, you'll see APR of 4.9, right? But this has already been going on. But agents just don't know because you're just focused on getting listings and resales and things like that. But when the market shifts, right, just like in 2008, everyone was focused on foreclosures and REO. That was what's in. No, today it's buyers, right? Buyers is what's in. If you have listings, it's great to have a bunch of listings, but if they're not moving, what's the point, right? So again, it's all about cash flow. But this is the math right here, right? It's all about the math. Part of the reason I went viral was because I used this slide that I learned about Claude. I highly recommend that you guys invest. It's one of the lowest coaching programs. It's like 49 bucks. But this particular um training taught how to use Claude AI, and that's one of the prompts that I used in the ad that I created. I also used my creativity. I used some of Sharon's deal of the day, a deal of the week email stuff, right? There's actually a chat GPT that he's created for deal of the week. I can send the link once I stop sharing. But I'll share that with you guys so you can see it. Now, this is what I mean by the incentives, right? This is right here in South Florida. I'm in their database because I always go to the new constructions. 5.25%, 30-year fixed. This property is a 4.99. I just got this email this month, right? And the commissions are higher too. Look at this. This is what email I just got today. And they're giving bonuses, 3.3% co-broke plus 5K. I had a client that relocated from here to Orlando. Again, you can get referrals. You don't have to live in the market, especially if you're advertising on YouTube. I mean, look at this, $15,000 in closing costs, 4.99%. Better insurance, newer product, warranty. I mean, it's better for your clients, better for you too. This is what I was talking about. PMG now, they're accepting crypto. One of our friends, Eric Mendelson, he just taught a class the other day on crypto. Look at all these new constructions that are offering crypto. Does the public know this? Do they know the properties? Do they know that they can use their wallet to buy this? All these luxury buildings that you have people paying five, $10,000 a month for this basically the same thing that now they can start building equity. And guess what? If they buy in the beginning or the end, they're going to get some of the best incentives and deals. That's where that calculator comes in play. Now, DPA, this is one of my favorites, right? But, there's pros and cons. But, again, this is for Broward County, right? So if you have a stale listing in some of these cities that you'll see on the next slide, the maximum sales price is 636, right? So anything under 636 is going to work. But the way the math works, it's better for a larger family size, right? Because the debt to income ratios are usually 35 to 45%, right? So now here's the screen that changed the game. This is part of the way I went viral. I knew which cities offered DPA. Look at this. Weston's given up to 120, right? You have Weston, you have some cities giving 80,000, and this is just municipal Broward, right? Some of the cities have their own DPA too. So you have SHIP and then you have other funds, right? You have SHIP and then home is what the other one's called. But most people don't know this. I'm marketing the money. I'm actually showing the payment in the ads, right? I'm showing how much it costs, right? And the AMI is the average medium income. I thankfully have a business partner that I met because I wish I knew this stuff years ago, right? I wish I would have known this when I started. That's why I'm sharing this information this way because so many people could have really bought a home, right? If I knew the math, if I could express the math, because guess what's going to happen? Most of these programs require only 1 to 3% down. That's it, right? So a person's going to pay more than that sometimes, depending on if it's first last security. So they're going to actually walk in and pay less out of pocket to actually buy a home than it costs to rent, which doesn't make sense. So we as the professionals have to educate the public. I created this from ChatGPT based on the math that comes from Boca. It's gonna kind of look a little weird, but I basically here's how this chart reads, right? So Boca is my favorite. Why? Because Boca has the highest income threshold. You can make about $114,000 as a single person and qualify for a home in Boca, right? But here's the math. This max PITI is the payment that they're gonna have to pay, right? So I like this chart on the right, the notes, because it tells me which properties are the best ones for me to target, right? I already know it's not all of Boca, right? I understand the program. So there's certain areas of Boca that it only works in. It's East Boca primarily. But when you see this income, it's crazy. Again, the larger the family size, the better. That's why I made this chart bigger because you see how much a person can afford, right? It says top of the eligibility, right? And then it gives you this caveat that's based on this rate, the APR, and if there's a HOA, right? And now, Boca, there some every program is different, right? So you as the agent, you have to know, right? Buyers must contribute 1% of the purchase price. So 1% of 600,000 is what? 6,000. That's game changing for a lot of families, especially those that have three or four, family members in it. That's huge. So this is what the game changer is of the industry, right? So this is Fort Lauderdale here, right? Fort Lauderdale is not on that chart, but Fort Lauderdale has their own program that gives up to 75,000, but I don't like the income limits. So when I speak to my client, I need to ask them, are they open to living in other areas when I'm doing my consultation, right? I'm not just taking the lead, right? This is Sunrise, right? Sunrise is in Broward, but Sunrise has one of the highest income limits. They have their own program too. It's called their Sunrise Ship program. Their minimum for a person that's a single person is 96K. That's good money. That's good money all day. Now, here's the game changer. This is the second secret, right? NAR praises FHFA move to expand credit scoring models, which means Advantage 4.0 can now be allowed with underwriting. This is huge because what this basically means is that if you're renting, your rent basically can go on your credit report. And Advantage 4.0 is one of the scoring models that allows basically your rent, utilities, and other bills to count towards your score, right? And it eliminates like hospital bills. This means that almost 33 million people will be able to buy a home just by this one change. But for you to execute this, you have to work with a company that can report the rent. And I connected Miami Realtors, and it's in the works. But we're basically going to be the first MLS in the country to have access to the company that does this. So it's coming. I'm telling you, before it happens, it's going to change the game because a person's score can literally go from a zero to like low 700s just by reporting their rent within days because this company backdates the rent from the beginning of the lease. So if the person's been renting there for 3 years, they get 3 years of credit on their rental history. It's game changing, especially for younger people who don't have the best rental history, who make good income, who are these creators and different things. So even families. So it's game changing. So this is the company here. This is the founder, the CEO, Cullen. This is a little bit about the program and how it works. The average person's credit score increases 40 points, and it happens relatively quickly. This is a game changer, and the investment, the coaching that they give is game changing. I just had an agent that works with me that's a partner in North Carolina. One of her clients went up literally 60 points just by reporting her rent. And that's a game changer. She went from like a 540 to now she's ready to get in the door to buy a home. And she's still working to improve her score. This is a review from a mortgage professional. I mean, again, this is game changing when you're talking about the cost of insurance, because guess what? Insurance also, your credit matters for your insurance. So when you're getting quoted for these insurance companies, you're going to be in a smaller pool based on your score. But if your score is higher in the 720 plus range, now you get the best rates, the best insurance rates for your mortgage. It's just a game changing thing, and the speed that it happens is fast. So I can't wait till this announcement comes out. I'm actually you heard it first here. They're gonna have a banner, a booth actually at Rock the Market. Make sure you guys invest and go and rock the market. That's how I found out about Rental Beast. That's why I'm even speaking to you because I actually invested in myself and I took the time out. So I really appreciate all of you guys for coming on today and just taking time. So here's a lead. This is from Rental Beast, right? This lead, Ryan, right? He came in. Now, mind you, here's a few things. The average agent would say, I don't work in Boynton. It's too far. I live in Miami. Wrong. Let me tell you something about Ryan. Ryan was open to living wherever. Ryan worked from home. And guess what? I had a great conversation with Ryan. I actually pulled his credit. So I still pulled his credit like I was going to do the rental. But here's what happened. Ryan, his score was so high. I'm like, Ryan, have you thought about buying? Here's my situation. Again, Ryan was coming out of a divorce. Ryan bought a home. Ryan went from a renter to a buyer within seconds because I opened up his mind. I asked questions. Ryan has a big dog, right? And I asked him, I say, hey, Ryan, what are the consequences if this seller now wants to sell their house? It's hard to find a seller open to taking a 75-pound dog. And he thought about it. He's like, you know what, JR, you're right. And then he sent me this. Sorry for the typo on my text. I'm the blue. But it went from a rental right here. Sorry, let me go back. It went from a rental, right? This property was like 3,800, right? I would have made, 1,500 bucks. to like now like almost 10, 12,000 or more based on the purchase price, right? So it's just about the conversation and knowing, right, the motivation. He's just coming out from living in a home. He doesn't want to be a renter. Not everyone wants to do that, but again, you have to find out what the math problem is for that person. Why are they moving? He's moving because he had a divorce. He wanted to, find something else and find something peaceful for him and his dog. Now, this is very important right here. This shows that there's great news happening in the market, right? This tells us that, you know, look, at the end of the day, if the rate drops to 6%, I just showed you rates that were lower than six. Have you marketed it? If I look at your social media, what are you telling the public? Like really, like ask yourself, have you done everything? Have you optimized your business? Have you done what you were supposed to do? Because at the end of the day, with AI and everything that's changing, you can't be faceless. You can't be quiet anymore. You have to build your brand. So, people are looking, that's where they're spending most of their time now is on social media. So you can't, and I'm a testament to how it changed my business. I never would have thought that ad would have went viral. I never would have thought I would have got an actual closing coming up from that transaction. So, that's the power of really taking advantage of the rental and not just thinking of it as just a lease. If you ask the right questions, are you open-minded to seeing your options? Has anyone ever sat down with you to show you run your options to purchase? Very subtle, not salesy. Either way, I was good either way with Ryan renting, but I knew better because I knew that sellers are motivated. I found him listings when I did the research. I was looking at the days on market. I was like, this is a good deal. It has a new roof. It has impact windows. His insurance is going to be great. Why not buy this? So things like that are what us as professionals have to teach the public and show them, right? So these are your next steps, right? Do research, find out the target persona, who is the motivated in your area, learn about the programs. I just showed you some, credit repair options that can help, right? Get familiar with the new construction communities and the incentives, right? Create a lead response and qualification process, and then begin to market the properties and generate the leads. And that's my time, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody want to hop on and ask JR any questions?
I just want to thank JR for the information. This was great info. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, feel free to reach out to me. You can email me or follow me on Instagram, DM me. If you have any properties or anything you guys want to test some ads on, we can do it. I don't care. I love trying different stuff with the properties. So any listings you guys have that you're having trouble with, send them to me. I'll definitely love to help you try to come up with some strategies to market them.
I have a question, may I ask?
Sure.
I checked reviews on Rental Beast and a lot of negativity on it. Any opinion on that, please?
I mean, this is my mindset. If you don't think it's good, it's not good. If you think it's good, it's good. I just showed you a person that bought a home. Like I probably have mastered Rental Beast more than anybody else. The problem that you're gonna have when it comes to lead services, not everybody's a strong agent. Not everyone knows how to have conversations. Like not everyone knows how to convert. That's the biggest problem with agents is they don't know how to lead generate or convert them. So you're talking to people who probably aren't strong reps. Again, leads are leads. It's a numbers game. But if you can get one sale, that covered way more than the whole year. So again, I'm strategically using the product. I've closed many deals from it, have gotten really quality deals from it. So it's just one source of many that I use. But I mean, the thing that I love about Rental Beast that I'll tell you is you're gonna get some of the best quality clients because those who actually fill out the questionnaire and also they put some notes, those tend to be people that are very serious. When Ryan filled out his note, he put in a question and he was like picking dates, so I knew that he was a good client. It's just like anything. There's people that I got from an Instagram ad. There's people you're gonna door knock that aren't good. It's not the product. The product is good, but I probably would have to show you how I use it. And we probably have to do like a whole nother training on how I've hacked the system.
Hi, JR. Thank you.
Thank
Um,
you.
I came like 10 minutes late, so I just wanted to make sure I'm thinking right. So the way you get your leads is putting the ads out and they basically respond to the ads.
One of them, right? So I invest in Rental Beast, which is one of the partners that is part of Miami Realtors. Um, they're a really good lead source.
Mhm.
The quality of the leads are good. That's one of the sources that I use, but I also use Facebook Marketplace. I use Craigslist still, and I actually now use Instagram. I have no choice. I went viral. Like I literally had 100,000 people, and I'm closing deals from going viral. And all I did was apply like just marketing strategies that I saw, and just it worked.
So you're just
So
marketing yourself.
well, here's the thing. It wasn't even my listing. I have a team of agents. I have about 17 agents that I work with across the country. And one of them was having a hard time selling her listing. So what we did was I said, just send me a video, right? Because people, one thing I'll tell everybody on here, stop posting flyers, stop posting just carousels. It doesn't work. Like you need to do videos, right? Videos are more compelling because people need to actually visual. It's harder to visualize just pictures because pictures kind of they see everybody's posting the same thing. Open house, right? I didn't want to just do an open house for her open house, right? She had an open house. This is exactly what happened. Friday was her open house. I knew she was in a certain area which had really good school districts, right? She was averaging two people at her open house. I knew the ad on Instagram brought 7 people to her house because people were sharing it crazy because I saw the shares. I
Hmm.
was like, and then she ended up getting like a quad. And let me tell you, this property, I forgot to tell this part of the story. It was in one of the worst locations. It was on a main road. Those are like the hardest to sell. So she got like a quality buyer. This person was an attorney that wanted her daughter to go to a really good school, which was A-rated schools in Coral Springs, and it worked out. All I'm saying is, hey, us as professionals, we need to market the money because the public doesn't think they can afford to buy a home. And they're not going to buy a home because everything is telling them don't buy a home. It's a bad time. But it's not a bad time for everybody. Some people have no choice. They have to buy a home, right? They have to move. Their job is relocating them. They're going through a divorce. They don't have enough space. Those are the people in 2025 and beyond that we have to target because we mostly have unmotivated people that are just watching all these reels. And this is one guy I dislike on Instagram. He's always telling people don't go buy new construction. Nobody's here, but that's not the truth. So us as professionals, we need to show the public the math, and that's what this talk's all about. Is like, what's the math? Show me. Why does it make sense? It doesn't make sense for everybody, but there are people who have no choice, and we need to be the guide that shows them their options.
Got it. So you market the listings and that's
Yeah.
how you get the
Oh
info.
yeah, no question. I
Got
market so
it.
when I'm on marketplace, I'm putting the sexiest properties on the internet. I'm not putting ugly photos. I'm putting properties that people want to buy, right? I'm not. And another thing too, I don't take old listings. I don't take properties that don't look good. I just don't. And I'm almost to the point now where I'm not even taking condos anymore. You just have to, as a business owner, you have to be very strategic. If you go into the MLS, you see there's like 30 listings in the same building, it might not be a good one. And then the days on market are the same. I mean, there's only so much you can do, right? I've given you some strategies to kind of make it a little sexier on your listings. But if you're someone that has no business, what I would do today is go to a luxury apartment, post some properties, right? And then have conversations. I'll go to new construction. Same thing. You don't need to use your Zillow's $1 billion business off of other people's listings. You can do the same thing. Miami MLS is one of the rare MLS in the nation that actually allows you to do any broker advertise. Like people are jealous of Miami that we actually have that as a field in our MLS. There's so many poorly marketed properties like it's crazy. So I'm telling you right now, you could literally just go into some of these properties, get you a gimbal, if you want to make it look a little bit better. But just a 90-second video is all you need, and it's gonna change less than 90 seconds, right? It's gonna change your entire business. And I would just tell you, it compounds because the social media will reward you. I was always doing stories. I'm a story guy. They didn't work. They didn't work anymore. I used to do stories. I got a lot of sales from stories over the last few years, but stories weren't enough. People needed something a little bit longer to watch. and the reels were what changed the game. And then the body of the reels and different things. Just follow me. You'll see what I post, and I can show you like, hey, these are some things that work, right? Do this, do that. But at the end of the day, you just have to try it, and that's what I did, and it just went well. And now I'm not going back. I have no choice because it worked so good.
Awesome. Thank you.
I hope it helped.
Can you share it? Can you share one of the ads that you've used, please?
Let me see. I can show you I'll put it in the chat. I'll put the link to it in the chat.
So do you basically show a property and then you sell the payments of that property? Is that the strategy?
Yeah, there's a couple of different ways you can do it, right? Just because, again, the public doesn't want to buy because they don't think they can afford it. People still think you need 20% down. Like, we don't market the money enough. Remember, we're the lead source for lenders. So imagine, like, I'm like, you guys should know it better than us. So I'm like, if you're a lender, you should market what's the products. So what are the creative financing products that are out there? I think if you can do that, you're going to be in a position to change the game because the public still thinks they can't afford a home, right? And they don't know the math. Like this buyer that I have that's closing from the ad, she literally didn't, she was told that she didn't qualify from another lender. And another thing too, you guys need to get good partners. I think I'm biased. I have hands down the best insurance agent. On my listing that I was selling in Lake Worth, the everyone that was getting a quote was coming at $6,000. I was able to get, it was a resale, right? And that's the funny thing. I forgot to tell this part of the story. This listing that I got in Lake Worth Beach, I got it from Facebook Marketplace. She was looking for a luxury apartment. So, because she had to sell her house, the math wasn't making sense for her. She was a single woman. Her payment went up. She couldn't afford it. I solved her math problem. And that's all we're doing. So, if you can think of it like that, like Brian Buffini says it best, people live in the payment, not the purchase price. If you can break it down that simple, you're going to help the public understand because we understand the words, and some agents don't even know what incentives mean. So you have to be able to break down the incentives to them and what does it mean? What does it look like using this incentive, right? You just have to make it seem achievable and like applicable to their life. Otherwise, they're not going to see themselves living in or being able to buy a home because you haven't made it seem like it could be true. I think let me see if this is the link. Let me just double check the link real quick. This should be the link right here. But I mean, it's crazy when you look at all the comments. Like, I never thought it would have went like that. I work with Mark Williams. I'll put his information in the chat. He specializes in DPA. We probably got to get him on here, Kevin, to do a training because the way he breaks down the math is crazy. And part of the reason I understand it at a high level, I used to ask him so many questions. I'm like, why aren't lenders doing this? You find out they take a little bit longer to close, but who cares? You're not closing anyway. Then you just sitting listing for 60, 90 days. You might as well wait and get paid and sell your house. So, it's a win-win. And I think, and here's the crazy thing. I know some competition side. I'm okay. I don't mind sharing it. I can't sell out of real estate. I'm only one person. But at the end of the day, I feel that we all should, work together and, just, I'm at a phase in my career where I don't really want to be outside working with buyers. That's just me, right? I still like the process, but that buyer, I never even showed the property. Ryan, I never showed the property to him. I had an agent that works with me show it. I literally never met the guy in my life, but we built a great rapport. So that's Mark's email for you guys as far as, he's a broker as well. He does specialize in DPA, but he does everything. But again, you just want to give people options, right? What they don't think is they don't have options.
How did you choose your mortgage broker?
Because he was the person that specialized in down payment assistance. That's how I found out. Because here's the thing, because you never really hear about DPA. I work with several different mortgage brokers. So, but he's my DPA creative financing specialist. So, I have him run the numbers. I have him break down the math on some of these properties. And let me see if I can show you one. I'm gonna stop the share real quick and show you like what he sends me. Because this is it's not gonna make sense, but I'm gonna have to break it down for you. All right, 1 second. This is crazy what he sends me. So I literally ask him these questions. I can answer any other questions while you guys are there. I'm just trying to pull this up real quick for you guys.
There was something earlier you had mentioned, and you said when you stopped sharing, you would put the link in for us, but I don't recall specifically what it was.
Oh yeah, here it goes. That's the deal of the week. So Sharon Shrivastava, you guys want to follow him? He's one of my favorite coaches. He breaks down like so many good things. I'll share his. That's his chat GPT. He basically created what was called the deal of the week. I use my creativity to say, hey, let's just do deal of the day because there's deals all around us every day. So I'm like, a week is too little. There's too much inventory sitting. So I said, I'll just do one daily. But it became unsustainable because my system wasn't refined yet. That's what I've like basically been working on in the last few months. I'm like, all right, I'm going back to the drawing board. I want to restart again in August. I want to go heavy on posting because I learned so much data. And then Instagram came out with edits. So I'm gonna also test TikTok because my ads that worked already. I'm gonna just repost them to TikTok, and then I'm gonna do the same thing with YouTube Shorts and then YouTube. So that's basically where I'm going, just based on that one thing. So let me see if I can find the email real quick. If you guys have any questions, I'm gonna pull up I found it. So when I'm pulling it, I'm just waiting for it to load. I just want to show you like a scenario that I had him pull for a property, right? Let me see. I don't want to leave too much dead air. I'm just trying to pull a good one so you guys can see the DPA numbers.
You good? Don't sweat it, man.
Yeah, when you see these numbers, it's so crazy because this is really important for you guys to see the numbers when he pulls it. Go. All right, I got one. This is one for a recent partner that I work with. So that's how that looks. That's how the DPA, the deal of the week looks. So I have actually two of them. So you'll kind of find a couple of my chat GPTs. So this is the deal, right? Let me click it bigger. You guys can see this, right? Okay. So essentially what I'm marketing is the total PITI is the payment, right? So, all right, I know the payment. The loan amount, right? That's on the left, the 275,640, right? And then it tells me I'm basically marketing the PITI on this. I know now what they're borrowing. This property, the price comes down so much. Um, and then he changed on this one. But you see how much money this person is getting in DPA. They're getting $80,000. So one of my partners, you'll see it on my Instagram. It looks like the property with the dock, right? You'll see that property with the dock. I tested. I'm gonna do it again. Another thing you guys can do too, you can do trial reels. So if you see the ad doesn't really hit or do good, you can delete it. So it won't go to your followers. It would just go to like just random people that you don't know. But this one is good, but I want to show you a better one. So let me pause it one second. I'm gonna pull one more up so you guys can see the math. Because once you see the out of pocket, that's what I'm posting is like, what's the out of pocket, right? What's the most out of pocket you would have to pay?
Where's that calculator? Or that,
Well, the thing is, he's actually building one. He's building a calculator. There's another one that I showed. There's another calculator that I showed. That's for something else. But that's for new construction. I showed the incentives for new construction. Oh, here it goes. Yes, this was good. This is a good one. Perfect. All right, so look at this. All right, so this one, right? So at the top, you'll see where it says FTC. See where it says FTC next to DTI? It'd be 43%. That FTC is what I'm advertising in some of the ads. That's the funds to close. That's what the person has to come to the table with outside of inspections and appraisal fees. That's nothing, right? they're getting, their payment is this. They were also getting a seller credit, right, of $10,000. So, and they were getting $38,000 as a second loan, right? So I'm selling the payment of the basically the 28 and then the funds to close, either one, whichever does better. So that's all I'm doing, marketing the money. It's nothing, like, it's not rocket science. I'm doing it on my own properties or listings of my partners. It doesn't matter. That's pretty much, there's no secret, right? That's why I'm willing to share it, because there's enough for everybody to eat. But
What
again,
program is that you're using, please?
what happened?
What program is that you just displayed? What's the name of that program that you use?
Oh, that's not from me. That's from the lender. He just sends me the scenarios. I'm like, hey, the property's, 300,000. There's no HOA. Here are the taxes. What are the funds to close? So he sends me the numbers back, and then I just pull it. But I'm working on a system, so it's easier, because that's one of the things that slows me down. I'd be able to do more properties if I could quickly calculate, because I can just drop 10, 20 properties on all the platforms. So now that's what I'm working on, is to make it faster so I don't have to ask him. I can just do it myself.
How many of those people that you talk to, you find out that they don't actually qualify for a mortgage?
I mean, I'll be honest with you, man. A lot of the people were good leads. Some of them just weren't ready, right? A lot of them had some credit issues, but there's people that actually had good credit. So I spoke to someone that saw one of my ads. Her credit's is 720. She's a single mom, just got divorced. By the way, again, a first-time buyer is somebody that hasn't bought a house in 3 years. It doesn't mean you never bought a house before. And guess what? If you were divorced as a woman or a homemaker, right, you can buy with DPA if you get divorced like the same year. It doesn't matter. So again, the goal is to target the motivated people, not just unmotivated people. The problem that we're doing is we're wasting time with people who aren't motivated. Our goal as agents is to only target the motivated people, and going forward. That's why I recommend the book The Shift. The shift is basically today's market in 2008. Now you have technology, you have more resources to make it explode. And going forward, it's a game changer. All I'm going to do is implement the shift's tactics with today's technology and explode. I know I'm going to go viral again. It's just a matter of time, because now I know. And there's a couple of books that I recommend you get. Brendan Kane dropped the book called Brendan Kane is his name.
Can you type him in, please?
Yeah.
On your slide, you had a link at the bottom. I don't know if it was a link, but it mentioned your favorite books. Is that a link?
Yeah.
Show us the list.
Yeah, I'll tell you my favorite books right now. I'll text them. Exactly What to Say for Real Estate Agents is a must. The reason why I was able to convert Ryan was because I have strong conversion skills through communication, and I'm not pushy. This is by Chris Smith and Jamie Mackin. Phil Jones is awesome. I will follow him. This is the author, but he has a series of books on it, right? And then I would tell you Shift, Gary Keller, must have, like, no brainer. And then also I would also tell you these are some of my favorite books, because you're gonna, like, if you're gonna execute this, and I'm gonna be honest with you, if you don't read 12-week year, it's gonna be hard to execute, because you need to be able to execute this. One of my good business partners, Rico, we talk almost every day. We, like, literally mastermind often. And that's one of the things she talks about, is just read that one book and execute. I didn't even read the whole book. All I read was like that chapter, and I was like, nope, not doing anything else. My sole goal for the rest of the year is to execute on what I went viral on. That's it. Nothing new, nothing less. That's it. Um, there's a couple others that I just can't think of. Oh yes, how could I forget this one? I'm a big fan of Chris Smith. He's one of my mentors as well. I would highly recommend you guys invest. If you don't have the funds to get into the coaching, definitely do Sharon's. Um, Sh- I believe that's how his last name is spelled. think it's 2 R's. Hold on. But either way, I don't want to take too much of your time. You guys can email me or DM me on IG. I'm always willing to share the info. But you guys should have the. Yeah, that's his name, I believe. But yeah, guys, thank you again for your time. If you have any other questions, just shoot me an email or DM me. But I look forward to growing, and I don't mind just giving you an audit. If you have an ad that you want to send to have me look at, send it. I'll take a look. I'll tell you what I think, and I just want to help all of us win because it's a tough market out there, and I hope you guys got some info to help.
JR, man, thank you much.
Thank you, JR.
I'll take you to class to get your next class on the books. You were talking about with a lender, right?
Yeah, I think you guys because we're gonna have the story. We're gonna that one's gonna be our blow up for Instagram. We're gonna tell the story how we did it, and we know
Cool,
other
cool.
people are
Yeah.
gonna come. Yep.
Cool. I'll reach out to you if you guys could tag team that class. So you still, I want you to part of that as well since your idea. Let's get that scheduled for like sometime in October. But I'll reach out to you after this class.
Awesome. Thank you again. I appreciate you guys.
I appreciate you too. And yeah, our president next year is from Rio. I don't know if you know Darnell Aponte very, very well.
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah.
But anyways, man, thank you for contributing this incredible knowledge. Everybody out there, implement it. It works. You see how it works already. You just
Yep.
got to do it. You just got to execute.
Exactly.
Let this lead with inspiration, not only for maybe a new method, but also on an execution. With that, we'll have more information for you next week. It'll be working with an in-house new development person. Obviously, take of JR taught you today. Find your in-house person and let's implement those skills.
I'm a YPN leader. Of course I'm going to be on my laptop.
I'm a YPN leader. Of course I have a full purse.
I'm a YPN leader. Of course I'm eating before I leave.
I'm a YPN leader. Of course I'm sneaking out for showing.
We're YPN leaders.
Of course we're going to be creating content.
I'm a YPN leader. Of course I'm signing up for classes.
I'm a YPN leader.
Of course I'm Cafecito obsessed.
I'm a YPN leader. Of course I'm going to crash the next happy hour.
Yeah, but on my way home, yeah. Wouldn't it be crazy? But you still amaze me. Wouldn't it be crazy? But you still amaze me.